Hello, everyone. Mark here, Mark's Max Muscle, and we have a very special feature for you guys today. So sit back, relax, have your popcorn, or if you want, nuts, peanuts, or I recommend those, cashews, things of that nature. Probably better for you, but you're gonna do what you're gonna do. If you want to open a big bag of plain potato chips with some dip, go ahead. But anyway, we are talking top sixes today. In particular, the best top six of in the Olympia lineups from 1993 until 2022, and you can see this is part of your fan requested Friday lineup. So please, I don't ask too much from you guys. But if you would, please hit thumbs up on this video. Get it up to 500 likes, and I will do all of the other requests. I would like to see that evolution of Stanimal. He was classic, was he not? But anyway, back to top sixes. This is a current top six, or your 2022 Olympia. We will get to that. Let's rewind back to 1993. It was a simpler time. Dorian Yates, you could see, Flex Wheeler, Sean Ray, Lee Labrada. Oh, what a great lineup. Kevin Levrone, are you kidding me? Paul Dillette. Wow. So how are we going to do this? We are going to compare each year. Well, we're going to start with 93, obviously, and Dorian won, and Dorian won. So 93 was obviously better than 1994, Dorian Yates. So even if it's the same guy, you're still going to award a point to 1993. And that's so on and so forth. That's how we're going to do it. Now, if you want to know the greatest lineup, the greatest, we'll cover that too. So Dorian Yates, 93, 94, doesn't matter which year, he's still Dorian Yates. So you're going to find some lineups they're going to be the exact same guys with different placings. That lineup is equally as great. You know what I'm saying? But let's not waste too much time, guys. Go back to 93. This is your lineup. Look at your top three. Dorian Yates, Sean Ray, Flex Wheeler. I mean, come on. And this is what your top three looked like in 1993. Unbelievable. Sean Ray in third. I mean, this guy's a dream wrapped in a blanket. And speaking of dreams wrapped in blankets, Flex Wheeler, 93, the best that we've ever seen from this guy. And the crown jewel, the very best version of Dorian Yates. And these guys were conditioned, trust me on that one. So yeah, that's your top three, and these three dudes here make up the rest of your top six. I mean, you have Lee Labrada. What a legend. Perhaps a legend of a previous generation, the 80s, but still a legend nonetheless. And in 93, he was probably still at his best. Kevin Levrone, he took fifth. Maybe not the best Kevin Levrone, I'll be honest. But a Levrone nonetheless. And Paul Dillette, 93, I mean, that's a beast. So the top six in 1993 is absolutely a force to be reckoned with. But so was 1994. Here is your top six in 94, guys. From left to right, you have Paul Dillette, Porter Cottrell, Chris Cormier, who was incredible, Kevin Levrone, Dorian Yates, obviously, and Sean Ray at the end. They made up your top two, as you can see here. And it is definitely worth to mention, Kevin Levrone and Paul Dillette, maybe at their best. The 94 Levrone, very underrated. So here's how the top sixes stack up against each other. You have Dorian, 93, obviously better than 94. In terms of greatness, it's the same thing. Sean Ray, Kevin Levrone, ooh, there's splitting hairs right there, guys. We might call that a draw. Then you got the 93 Sean Ray versus the 94 Kevin Levrone, in which case I would probably lean towards Levrone, although it's close. Paul Dillette, I would give the victory over Lee Labrada, the 93 Lee Labrada for sure. But in both cases, 5th and 6th, I would give the victory to Kevin Levrone and Paul Dillette in 93 over the 94 Porter Cottrell. Definitely that weighs that top 6 down for sure. And yeah, Chris Cormier's good. Chris Cormier's good, but Paul Dillette, I mean, that guy was a beast, especially in 93. So, the top six of 1993, not only better, but greater as well, considering Flex Wheeler and Porter Cottrell are the only difference. So, other than them two, it's the exact same group. And obviously, guys, with all due respect to Porter Cottrell, he's no Flex Wheeler. He's no Flex Wheeler. So, 1993, what a top six. Let's go to 95, and this is your top three. There was actually no pitchers of the top six, the entire top six from 95. Can you believe that? I couldn't find the rusty old screenshot. I didn't want to use it. Dorian Yates, Kevin Lavroni in second, Nasser Elson-Body. Now that's going to be a tough top three, and the rest of your top six consists of Sean Ray, who took fourth, Vince Taylor, and Chris Cormier. Now, Sean Ray, he was pretty good here, guys. So it was more of a top four, and then the other two guys probably battling for a fifth place. But anyway, with all due respect to Vince and Chris Cormier, who took fifth and sixth, obviously you can see here, I would wager to say that 1993, Dorian Yates, obviously better than 95. Or is it? That is of some debate. And to be honest, Flex Wheeler, 1990, that's Ken, it's Flex. Ken Flex Wheeler, 93, and 95, Kevin Lavroni, that's splitting hairs as well. And it's always going to be a coin toss between Sean Ray and Nasser Elson-Body. Then you got Lee Labrada, 93, versus Sean Ray, 95. Again, you're going to have to look at the last two guys. You got Kevin Lavroni and Paul Dillette for fifth and sixth. That's a very tough fifth and sixth place guys. And I would wager to say Vince Taylor was past his prime and Chris Cormier was not yet at his prime. So yeah, Kevin Lavroni and Paul Dillette probably. And considering mostly, I think 93 Dorian Yates would be your obvious pick over 95. We're going to go with 1993. And we're going to go on to the next year, which is 96. What about 96? Take a look at the names, guys. Dorian, Sean, Nasser, Kevin Lavroni, Flex Wheeler, Paul Dillette. Are you kidding me? And your top three, guys. Yeah, after 93, Dorian Yates had that torn bicep, but 96, he was peeled. And both Nasser and Sean Ray, Sean took second, Nasser took third, they were at their best. So this is arguably these three dudes at their best. And take a look at the rest of the dudes that made up your top six. Kevin Lavroni, 1996 was a pretty good Kevin Lavroni. Not the best, mind you, but pretty good. Ditto with Paul Dillette. I preferred him in 94, probably his best. And Flex Wheeler, not bad. He was not bad. And I hate to fall into little rabbit holes in these videos, but I'm having so much fun. And for those of you who are having fun too, you don't mind just dipping our toe into this rabbit hole, if you will, look at the top 8 in the 1996 Olympia. Can you imagine? Dorian, Sean Ray, Nasser, Kevin Lavroni, Flex Wheeler, Paul Dillette, Ronnie King, Coleman, Ring-a-Ding-Ding, and even Chris Cormier. Every single one. I mean, this is a strong chain, not a weak link amongst them. Every single one a superstar. Now, on to the business at hand. Top 6 93 versus 96. Who's better? 93, you're going to go with Dorian Yates. Flex Wheeler versus Sean Ray. Both at their best. That's a coin toss again, guys. You can't say one was better or greater for that matter. Both of those guys, equal greatness. Sean Ray, Nasser, again, another coin toss. Now, Lee Labrada, Kevin Lavroni, 96. Kevin, you're probably going to give it to him. You're probably going to go with the size. And for 6th place, considering Paul Dillette was greatly improved, I would suggest. Like I said, 94, he was just mint. But yeah, 96, I think he was probably better than 93. So it's a close one, I think. And considering, yeah, we're going to go with Nasser over the 93 Sean. Sean was still a little bit too small, I think, to combat against a prime time Nasser Elson-Body. So, yeah, 96. maybe a better lineup. Is it a greater lineup? Well, you got Nasser El-Sonbody in 96, and in 93 you had Lee Labrada. Both bodybuilders placing second at the Olympia, so equally as great, I would say. What a lineup, what a lineup. Here's 1997, and you can see Lee Priest enters the mix there. He places sixth that year. And with all due respect to him, it kind of did weaken up the lineup in terms of greatness, and as far as being good, Dorian Yates 1997 was his very worst. So you're going to say 96 for sure. And in terms of second, third, and fourth, it's all the same matchups. You get Sean versus Nasser, Nasser versus Sean, and in fourth it's Kevin versus Kevin. Ridiculous, ridiculous. Splitting hairs for sure. I would say 1996, Flex Wheeler would defeat the 97 Paul Dillette, but I think Paul Dillette in 96 would defeat Lee Priest in 1997, making 1996 a better lineup, I would suggest, than 97. And then you step into 1998 and enter the Ronnie King Coleman era. Right out of the chute, that adds greatness. Obviously, you're going to consider Ronnie King Coleman the greater bodybuilder over, say, a Dorian Yates. And take a look at this lineup, guys. Take a look at these studs. Take a look at these studs. I love that backdrop. The Coliseum type atmosphere. They should bring that back at some point. But let's go to the business at hand. 1996 versus 1998. Now here's a little bit of a different matchup, so to speak. Not too many are better or greater than Dorian Yates. And I believe using 98, if it was 93 Dorian, it would be a little bit more tricky to say, but we're going to go ahead and say Ronnie beats Dorian. Flex Wheeler in 1998, he was a lot bigger than the 1996 Sean Ray. Was he better? Splitting hairs. In terms of third place, we got Nasser El-Sonbody versus Nasser El-Sonbody. Who do you think's winning? I'll call it a draw. As well as fourth place, you have Kevin Levrone versus Kevin Levrone, for goodness sakes. Then you got 1996 Flex Wheeler versus 1998 Sean Ray. Neither one of their bests, and it's going to be pretty much a draw in that aspect too. I would say, in my estimation, 1998 Chris Cormier would defeat pretty much any version of Paul Dillette. Chris Cormier, he was coming into his own here, guys. And like I began saying, Dorian Yates, he would lose. The 96 Dorian Yates would lose to the 98 Ronnie King Coleman. Ring-a-ding-ding. So 98 prevails out of the 90s. But of course, the 1999 lineup was probably better, considering it was the exact same lineup. And aside from Nasser and Chris Cormier, who flip-flopped in placings, third and sixth, quite a difference there, it was the exact same placing for all of the athletes. And I think it is common belief, I think it's popular belief, that Ronnie Coleman 99 slightly better than 98 because of the gyno. Let's be honest. 99 Flex Wheeler slightly bigger than the Flex Wheeler of 98. And other than that, you're splitting hairs, guys. 99 Sean Ray probably better. Yeah, 99 Sean Ray pretty good. Kevin Levrone, I'm not so sure. But when you look at third place, I would wager to say for sure 99 Chris Cormier would beat the 1998 third place Nasser El-Sonbody. Very close though, guys. But I think 1999 is your very best top 6 lineup coming out of the 90s, going into the new millennia. And the top 6 at the 2000 Mr. Olympia, it was a good group of guys, don't get me wrong. You had Ronnie King Coleman, Kevin Levrone in second, Flex Wheeler in third, Sean Ray, Nasser El Somebody, some of the great ones. But every one of those guys, they were off, with all due respect. Lee Priestad, sixth, he was probably the closest to being at his best. But in terms of, Ronnie Coleman, 2000, not the best. This is probably the worst Sean Ray. Probably the worst Sean Ray. And then 2001, Sean Ray there in fourth. That was a gift. This was maybe one of the worst Ronnie Coleman's. Jay Cutler, now you're second place. You're not going to get too many second place Olympians that are going to beat Jay, but you can't win a top six on that alone. We're talking the entire top six. 2001, Kevin Levrone, not the best Kevin Levrone, I'll be honest. See Chris Cormier in fifth there. Great bodybuilder. Bad version. Not the best version. Not the best. It wasn't bad. It was just not the greatest. Orville Burke, good back. But I mean, in terms of the greatest top sixes of all time, a bodybuilder of that caliber just does not belong. 2002, maybe even a worse lineup. Now again, the names were good. Ronnie Coleman, his worst. Kevin Levrone, absolutely his worst second place at the Olympia. And not a great Kevin Levrone, I'll be honest. And Chris Cormier was even off, getting his best placing, a third. Dexter the Blade Jackson. Guys, Dexter's great. He's a great bodybuilder. But, I mean, 2002, Dexter the Blade Jackson just does not rank up with the guys from the 1999 top six. And then you got Günther Schlierkamp in fifth. I mean, that was a serious competitor. But of course, in 1999, Sean Ray was no slouch, and that would be an apples versus oranges matchup too. So 2002, not without its charms, but absolutely not the best. And in 2003, it was more of a Jay Cutler versus Ronnie King Coleman show. And it was a battle for third. You can see Dexter the Blade Jackson with a well-deserved third place finish. Dennis James in fourth. And again, love Dennis, but we're talking the greatest top six of all time. Günther, maybe not the best Günther, catches fifth. And maybe the absolute worst Kevin Levrone that we've seen. His last, he quit after that. Of course, his comeback, he came for one and done. But other than that, this was his last. And a lackluster top six, aside from Ronnie Coleman being maybe at his arguable best. 2004, and a repeat of the top two, of course. Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, neither of them at their best. Gustavo Bedell, here's the rest of your top six, your third through sixth place. Couldn't get a top six pitcher out of all of them. Marcus Rule, as good as he is, he's not one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. Dexter the Blade Jackson is. Gustavo Bedell, probably not. And Günther Schlierkamp, probably not him either. 2005, same old story. You had Jay versus Ronnie for first again, and left for a lackluster top six. Not pictured here was Dennis James. Actually, here's your top six here. Ronnie 1, Jay in second. Both of those guys, not the best. Ronnie, not bad, actually. Gustavo Bedell, as good as he looked here, he's just not one of the great ones. Ditto with Victor Martinez and Günther Schlierkamp and Dennis James for that matter. And then you got 2006. Finally, we see a new champion. Jay Cutler and Ronnie King Coleman, not at his best, places second. Victor Martinez, Dexter the Blade Jackson in fourth. And you had Malvin Anthony gets thrown in the mix here. He got fifth. And Gustavo Bedell rounds up your top six. So that's your 2006. 2007 was even worse with the infamous soft Jay Cutler. You had Victor Martinez, who was a great bodybuilder. This was him in his prime in second place. And hey, a great bodybuilder, like I said. Dexter the Blade Jackson, third. Pretty good. Now the fourth place Ronnie King Coleman. He is one of the great ones. In terms of greatness, it's a great lineup. But it is not a good lineup because that was his absolute worst. Worse than 2002. I take it back. And in fifth place, you have Dennis Wolf, who was mint. This was the best absolute hands down Dennis Wolf. And in terms of fifth place, 2007 would match 1999. And in sixth place, you had Malvin Anthony. And with all due respect, I like Malvin. But for the greatest top six, it has to be an all-star lineup. Go to 2008, and you got Dexter the Blade Jackson defeating Jay Cutler here. And look at your top three. You got Phil Heath in the mix. Now we can kind of consider maybe comparing these lineups with another year, like 1999 perhaps. Dexter the Blade Jackson would lose to Ronnie Coleman, let's face it. Flex Wheeler versus Jay Cutler. And off Jay Cutler, that would be close. That would be splitting hairs. Chris Cormier, 1999, would offer a lot of trouble for Phil Heath, 2008. You can guarantee that. Kevin Levrone, Dennis Wolf. You're going to have to go with Kevin Levrone, are you not? 99, Sean Ray versus 2008, Tony Freeman. Apples versus oranges. Ditto with 96, or 99, sixth place, Nasser versus Melvin Anthony. I would wager to say 99 would defeat the 2008 lineup, and is a greater in terms of their legacies, baby please, things of that nature. 1999 reigns supreme. And then I go and spoil it all by showing you the top 6 lineup from the 2009 Mr. Olympia. That's what happens when you try to sing fast. Look at this, guys. Jay Cutler. To put a crown on top of this top 6. Branch Warren, the very best Branch Warren. Second place, enough to defeat the very best Dexter the Blade Jackson, who took third. You got Kai Green in fourth. Phil Heath in fifth. I mean, Kai and Phil, they are legends. And Victor Martinez, is he a weaker link in this chain? Could be. Not bad, though. What a lineup. And this comparison, I think, definitely worth looking at. I mean, Jay, yes, he's going to ultimately lose to Ronnie Coleman. But Ronnie Coleman, 99, would be in a fight. For sure. Even if you're a Colemanite, come on, you have to admit, he would be in a fight with the 2009 Jay. Now, second place is going to be an absolute apples versus oranges. If you're going for aesthetics, yeah, obviously, it's an easy win. If you're going for condition, it's an easy win also. But for opposite guys, you know what I'm saying? Branch would absolutely go right through Flex Wheeler. They're looking at condition and focused solely on that. And ditto with Flex beating Branch Warren in terms of aesthetics. Then in third place would be an outstanding matchup between Chris Cormier, 99, and 2009 Dexter the Blade Jackson. Splitting hairs. Kevin Levrone was your fourth place in 99, and it was Kai Green. Kai Green that got fourth in 2009, and again, that would be a close one, guys. Fifth place, we have Sean Ray versus the Gift Phil Heath. Talk about splitting hairs. Now, if it was a bigger, better version of Phil, yes. But 99, Sean Ray, nothing to mess around with. Then you get Nasser versus Victor Martinez. Both of those guys slightly off at this point in time. So I'm going to still say 1999 going into 2010. But that was a close one, guys. The 2009 lineup, one of the best. Jay Cutler, Phil Heath, Branch Warren, Dexter, Wolf. Same basic lineup, except you got Ronnie Raquel thrown in there, who is a great bodybuilder, but not in terms of the greatest top sixes of all time. And your Branch Warrens and your Dennis Wolfs, maybe not at their best. Now, 2011 would be worth to do a comparison with 2009. Actually, an actual full comparison for every single competitor here would be worth throwing down, because these two lineups equally as good. 2011 Phil Heath, most of you guys are going to say he's better than Jay Cutler 2009, but he would be in a fight. Ditto with second place Jay Cutler 2011 with that Branch Warren in 2009. But yes, I would still say 99 would beat them both. And then 2012, not a bad lineup. I think that Branch Warren aging, not a good look for the top six, as well as the Wolfman. But by 2013, old Wolfie Wolf, he was probably at his best here. He was at his best in 2007. But he kind of came back here. He looked pretty good here. And you got obviously Phil Heath, 2013. Maybe the best Phil Heath. I think this here lineup would in fact defeat 2009. I think Phil would hold his own or defeat Jay Cutler. Ditto with Kai Green, 2013. Maybe not the prettiest physique, but was Branch Warren. In third, you had Dexter the Blade Jackson, who would probably beat Dennis Wolf. It would be close, though. Kai Green might lose to Sean Roden, 2013. Sean Roden may be at his best here, 2013. Dexter versus Phil Heath, that would be close. That would be close for sure. And sixth would be debatable. Victor Martinez, Jay Cutler, and aging Jay Cutler. There's no doubt in my mind who the greater bodybuilder is, but it would be very close. So considering I would give the edge to Phil Heath over Jay Cutler, we're going to go with 2013 out of the modern era. 2014, basically same lineup, but all the bodybuilders were not in as good a shape, especially Phil Heath. Here's your top 6 2015. Same basic group of guys, and that usually happens every decade. You run through the same top 6. 2016, we see William Bonac, we see Big Ramy, Mom Dells Baye, we see Rolly the Beast Winkler. So, it was a refreshing change. We can see some new faces here. So is the 2006 top 6 better than the 2013 top 6? I don't think it's any greater. The difference is Kai Green, Dennis Wolf, and Jay Cutler for 13. And for 16, you have Big Ramy, William Bonac, and Rolly Winkler. As good as they are, I don't know, guys. And considering, obviously, 2013, Phil Heath, better than 2016. A no contest. 2017, rather. I apologize, this is a long one, guys. Hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm having fun. 2017, basically the same group of guys, not pictured here, Rolly Winkler. And they had Brandon Curry pretty much in all of the pictures. Isn't that weird? I think Brandon Curry was supposed to place 6th in 2017. Because in 2018, he was put into this top 6 situation. In fact, he got 5th over Big Ramy. Interesting. Sean Roden, he won that year. You got Phil Heath, not the best Phil Heath, in second. The only one really in their primes were Sean Roden and Rolly the Beast Winkler. Other than that, it was a somewhat lackluster lineup in terms of these guys hitting their peaks. 2019 was the weakest lineup that I've seen in years. In terms of the competitors of the day, it was an absolutely weak lineup. Taking nothing away from your top 4. I mean, these are 4 great bodybuilders. Hattie Shupin, William Bonac, Brandon Curry, and of course, Rolly the Beast Winkler. But there was a lot of guys, namely Sean Roden, Phil Heath, Big Ramy, all who would have been in this top 4, guys. Let's face it. They would have made it a top 7 or something like that. Anyway, not the best lineup whatsoever. 2020, they made up for it. Look at that, guys. This is an awesome lineup, too. A fantastic top 6. Of course, if you compare it with 2013, and I don't want to open up this can of worms that you long-term fans will catch me on, but obviously 2013, Phil Heath would defeat Big Ramy 2020. And Kai Green would probably be too much for Brandon Curry as well. So on and so forth. So as good as 2020 was, I don't think 2013 would have any trouble defeating that year, that top 6. And 2021 was a lesser lineup. Ramy was not as good as he was 2020. Neither was Curry, or Hattie Shupin for that matter. This was the Jimmy Rigged Delt year. And Hunter Labrada, maybe one of the least ranked 4th place guys that we've seen so far. And in 5th, we had Nick Walker, who was not at his best. We've seen better, as well as William Bonac there at the end. So 2021, not the best top 6. Now 2022, we cannot gauge how great these guys are going to be. There's no way you can tell me what Samson Dauda's career is going to end up as. He could become 10-time Mr. Olympia. So this could very well be the greatest lineup that we've ever seen. And to be honest, guys, this is a fan-smashing lineup. It actually holds its own here in 2022 against 2013. As much as you history buffs that always say, oh, it's never as good as it was back in the day. Even you guys would have to admit, this is a heck of a standoff. In fact, I have done top 3 comparisons between these 2 years, in which case I did give Phil Heath the victory over Hattie. I did give Kai Green the victory over Derek Lunsford, but with the tiny midsection versus the bigger midsection, the judges might take that away. They might take that away. So close. And Nick Walker, I actually gave him the victory over Dennis Wolf. Now, when it comes to Roden versus Brandon Curry, those 2 years, they were both thick, full round, maybe not as peeled as they could have been, but that would have been a standoff. Hard to say. Dexter the Blade Jackson versus Big Ramy. Are you kidding me? That's an apples versus oranges. Each of them have gotten victories over one or another. So it's very hard to say. I would wager to say it's a safe bet that Samson Dauda of 2022 would in fact defeat Jay Cutler in 2013. So what a close one. 2022. Who would have thunk it, so to speak? And in terms of being great, like I said, we have no idea how great Derek Lunsford's going to turn out to be, Samson Dauda, things of that nature. So does that mean 2013 is the greatest and the best lineup of all time, top 6? 1999 would have something to say about that. You got the winner, Ronnie King Coleman, versus the winner in 2013, Phil Heath. That's a big Phil Heath. That wasn't the giant Ronnie King Coleman. That would actually be a good battle. In which case it would be me personally deciding on Ronnie King Coleman. That doesn't mean that it would be how it goes. Phil Heath might very well defeat Ronnie King Coleman if the judges seen them live on stage both, which would be impossible. Then you got Kai Green. Bit of a midsection, very conditioned, huge, muscles, glutes, hamstrings, peeled, mastodon, versus the very aesthetically pleasing Flex Wheeler. Maybe some issues, we'll say. We don't need to get into any of that in this video. And maybe not the most conditioned, but like I said, very aesthetically pleasing. Would be a toss-up. Then you get Dennis Wolf versus Chris Cormier, 99. Hey, that would be a standoff for sure. You got Kevin Levrone versus Sean Roden. Kevin Levrone, 99, obviously. And Sean Roden, 2013. Hey, I would wager to say Roden would probably get the victory on that one, but don't quote me now. Don't quote me on that one. And in 5th place, we have Dexter the Blade Jackson for 2013. You go back to 1999, you had Sean Ray. Sean Ray versus Dexter the Blade Jackson. Now there is splitting hairs, to overuse that term. But man, oh man, that would be a tight battle. In 6th place, we have Nasser and Jay. Both cases, not the best versions of each. Big, huge frames, maybe not the most conditioned, things of that nature from behind. But either which way, all along the board, it's a pretty close matchup. And in terms of greatness is concerned, I think 1999 might edge out 2013, to be honest. I think having Dennis Wolf, probably the weakest link here. He never placed any more than 3rd. I think that would be the deciding factor, considering Chris Cormier, he's maybe the weaker link in terms of status, placings, things of that nature in 99, and he is one of the great ones. My estimation, greater than your Dennis Wolf's. And Phil Heath, as great as he is he as great as the King Coleman? Nope. Ditto with Flex Wheeler over your Kai Greens, but that one's debatable. And you got Dexter the Blade Jackson, who's a legitimate superstar. Probably greater than the Sean Rays. But still, guys, what's the best top 6 Olympia history? The best 1999. 1999. You can't beat it. But if 2013 was the victor, if the judges said no, this top 6 would win. Well, I wouldn't argue. 2009 was pretty good too. Kudos, honorable mention. 1993 was even very good. A couple of them were pretty good. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. 96, of course. 96, probably one of the most stellar lineups in terms of names. The top 8 anyway. But we don't need to fall down that rabbit hole. I enjoyed setting this up, guys. Probably just as much or more than you guys enjoyed watching it. Have a great one.